Hello and welcome to the video part of our review of the Turtle Beach Stealth 500p. Now, as you can probably see from the box, this is all about the PlayStation. You've got PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 3 support, and those are the two big ones that you really want. And it's trying to be about as plug and play as you can possibly get with those devices. They also have DTS 7.1 surround sound support now, and this comes in addition to being able to plug it in with a cable and use it with a PlayStation Vita, mobiles like iOS and Android, and there's even PC support where you can plug in the USB dongle. So it's very, very flexible, and without much further ado, let's crack open the box and see what's inside. So what do you get in the box? Well, going counterclockwise, you have literature, which is like a quick start guide to your warranty, but who's going to read that really? You also have a few cables. You've got a micro USB cable, which is the same as you'll use to plug into your DualShock 4s. You've also got the 3.5mm cable for PS Vita and mobile support. And finally, you have the most important cable really. It's the optical cable from the back of your PS3 or PS4 to the wireless dongle itself. On one end you have Toslink, a fairly standard thing, but then on the other end you have the less regularly used 3.5mm version, and that is so that the dongle itself can be so small and diminutive. Another interesting thing is just how short this cable is. I think it's barely 30 centimeters long, and that is so it literally only runs from one side of a console to the other, and it's part of a very minimalist setup experience. And that carries on as soon as you look at the USB dongle itself. I mean, it is tiny. It's about the size of a USB stick for data storage. And I have a few comparisons here. There is the PlayStation Gold USB dongle, and also here is the PX4 wireless hub base station thing, and you can see just how much smaller they have managed to make it in the last year. It also does more than the PX4 base station did, because this is now a completely wireless setup when it comes to game audio and chat. The USB dongle is now able to do the chat over USB as opposed to needing you to plug into your DualShock 4 in order to do so. Moving on to the headset itself, we have the boom mic, which is nice in that it's firstly very flexible, secondly it's detachable, and it's much easier to attach back in the right way compared to last year, because the 3.5mm end is molded in such a fashion that it can only go in one possible way, and that means that it's always facing forwards and it's always on your left ear cup, so you always know where it's meant to go. Again, nice and flexible. You can place it exactly where you want, so the corner of your mouth basically. And an interesting thing is that it's no longer like a fluffy, squishy microphone which we had in previous designs from Turtle Beach. All of the controls themselves are actually on the right ear cup, so you've got game audio and separate chat audio, a presets button, and the microphone mute button here on the front. But where's the power button, I hear you ask? Well, that is hidden behind the, is actually pressing down on the logo, the Turtle Beach logo itself on the right ear cup. Now, it is flashing quite regularly. It won't flash quite as often when you are, when it's actually connected to a USB dongle, but there's nothing for it to connect to a second. And this light actually is then a sustained red colour when you are charging it up via USB. You might also have been able to hear the headset now has a voice, and this is so that it tells you what buttons you're pressing, what presets it's changing to, so you're not listening to a series of beeps and bloops which you have no idea what they're going to do. And that is a much better system than previously. Now, it's a much more premium design, and let me grab the PX4s here. As you can see, it's much less obvious that it is a gaming headset. I mean, as soon as you take the microphone off, it could be any old thing really, in my opinion, and that is a much better, much nicer, more premium design. There's also much fewer buttons compared to last year, and so there's a lot less confusion as to what's going to happen when you're pressing stuff. I mean, as you can see on the PX4s, take that out and you've still got the movable arm for the microphone itself, which is a bit a bit balmy, and also that you could easily attach this microphone in the wrong direction. You've got on the PX4s you had fabric on the ear cups, and here you have like a faux leather, and this is perforated. It's got little pinpricks in it, so that it can let some of the heat from your ears escape. I mean, in either case, I have not had a problem with my ears feeling hot or at all, and I've been able to use this headset for hours on end. Now then, in comparison to Sony's PlayStation Gold headset, you can see just how much more compact the ear cup design is, and how much more compact the design is as a whole. I mean, I'm not saying that the PlayStation headset doesn't look good. It's a nice design all around, but it's very functional and very basic. One thing that I would say as a positive in the Turtle Beach headset is that you do have that boom microphone on the PlayStation Gold. The microphone is tucked in behind one of the sides of the headband, and it is not very good. It doesn't sound very good at all on here. You can, as soon as you play online, you're bound to come across someone that has got the PlayStation Gold headset, and you could generally tell that they are using it, because there is such a huge amount of compression and like distortion almost on the voice itself. One thing that I would also like to point out is about the fit of the headset. And the other headsets that I've shown, they are generally quite loose, but even at the maximum extension here, the headset has got a very large amount of clamping on the sides of my head. And I don't think my head is abnormally large, but it's fairly big. Yes, I've got a big head, all right. But it's not uncomfortable. It's just a much more snug fit on the side of my head, and that's an interesting point. But as I've already said, I've been able to wear this headset for hours on end, and I'm more than happy with how they feel and how they feel on my head in that regard. Now, obviously, much more important than the design itself is the audio and the functionality of the thing. So, in terms of the actual audio sound, let me crack out the PX4s again. I find that the 500p is a lot bassier. It's a lot more bass heavy in terms of the sound that I'm hearing. And I don't know, I think it's gone to the extent where it is too bass heavy, and it's almost indistinct sometimes as to what you're able to hear. The PX4s I find are a nice middle ground, but on the opposite side of things you have the PlayStation Gold, which are even much more clinical really, and there's not too much bottom end on the PlayStation Gold. So it depends what you really want out of a headset in that regard. If you play a lot of action games, if you play a lot of shooters, and you want that thumping heavy bass, the boom of the sound, then maybe the 500p's are going to be much closer to your tastes. In terms of the microphone itself, as I said, you are able to get it into the exact right place so that it's in the corner of your mouth, and it's not like picking up the pops and hisses from your voice and your mouth quite so much. But it does need to be in exactly the right place in order to properly pick you up. And when I've been using it, I have had a lot of people say sometimes that I'm a bit too quiet and that I just need to adjust the microphone a little bit. More importantly for me is that I'm able to hear the buzzing from the microphone monitor. Now, this has been taken completely out of your control. On the PX4s, you actually have a slider so that you can adjust the mic monitor, or side tone as it's also known, for yourself, but here it's all automated. And while that does mean that you have the ability to like kind of hear what other people are going to hear on the other side of a party chat, it has the consequence for me of meaning that I always have this like live wire sound with the side tone, and that does get in the way. It's very noticeable when there's not much action going on screen, if I'm just in the party before a game has started, and it's almost a deal breaker for me. As soon as I turn the microphone off, mute it, then the sound disappears completely, and I can just get on and I can just enjoy a single player game. But if I'm playing something quiet or I'm just wanting to talk to people, then it does get in the way. But again, it does disappear underneath the sound of a loud game, and so that is something to definitely consider. And this is actually the second headset I've had through from Turtle Beach, and the first one had the same problem. This has been tested by Turtle Beach themselves, and they were happy with this. So it could just be, again, like with the PX4s last year, I was able to hear the white noise of the electronics, which I don't hear here on the 500Ps. So it could just be like the range of hearing that I have. But there's one particular area where the 500p is absolutely outstanding, and that is in terms of battery life. Now, with the PX4s, they were rated for about 15 hours, and I think they generally got that. That was pretty good. The PlayStation Gold, though, is rated for about 8 hours, and in my testing, it basically cut out dead on the 8-hour mark. The 500p's, though, they are rated for the same 15 hours as the PX4s, but I found they actually lasted 19 hours for me. I was basically just wondering, when is this battery gonna stop working? When is it gonna run out and die? And that is absolutely astonishing in my opinion. 19 hours is incredible. That's more than twice as long as the PlayStation Gold. It's more than 2 DualShock 4 charges. That is a huge amount of battery life for this headset, and that is one thing which is very, very impressive, and definitely a big positive note for this headset. So to sum up, I find it difficult to out and out recommend this. I mean, it does a lot of things right. The design is excellent. It's really nice feeling. It's quite a premium looking design. The number of buttons is simple and easy to figure out. The boom microphone, which is really quite good overall, and the battery life is absolutely astonishing. I don't know how they managed to do that. The headset's also like 50 grams lighter than all of the others. So if that is a concern for you, it shouldn't be. Like, headsets aren't particularly heavy, but this is like 250 grams, and the others are all like 300 to 325 grams. It's incredible. But then there are those downsides for me personally, like being able to hear the live wire sound from the microphone monitor is particularly off-putting when it gets to a quiet game. And like the first thing that I do when I'm playing on my own is just mute the microphone and or pull the microphone out. And on top of that, I find that the general audio mix, though you can adjust it a little bit with the presets, I find the audio mix is still a bit too bass heavy and maybe on the indistinct side of things for my tastes. So it's a difficult one to recommend, but I hope that this video has definitely helped to inform your decision if you're looking for a headset. It does have a lot of upsides. It's got a couple of downsides, but then at around the £100 mark, where it is going directly head-to-head against the PX4s and the PlayStation Wireless Gold, it's a pretty good headset, and it's going to give them some pretty stiff competition overall. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and keep reading the rest of the review for more detailed thoughts and the microphone test, and we will see you next time.